On a recent episode of the Joe Rogan Experience, Joe Rogan and Jiri Prochazka delved into one of the most hotly debated topics in MMA. Before we continue, don't forget to subscribe and click the bell icon so you never miss an update. The judging system. Both agreed that the current 3-judge format has resulted in far too many controversial decisions, leaving fighters and fans frustrated. Rogan, always one to push for improvements in the sport, suggested a simple yet effective change, increasing the number of judges from 3 to 5. He argued that with more judges, the likelihood of bad decisions would decrease, leading to fairer outcomes and less backlash from fans. To illustrate the issue, they pointed to the razor-close fight between Magomed Ankalaev and Jan Blachowicz, which ended in a split draw, a result that left many scratching their heads. Prochazka, while agreeing that the fight was contentious, admitted he personally felt Blachowicz had done enough to win, but rather than simply adding more judges, Prochazka threw out a radical alternative, eliminating judges altogether. He proposed that fights should continue until there is a definitive winner, removing any need for judges to determine the outcome. This bold suggestion sparked an intense discussion between the two, with Prochazka advocating for a return to a purer, more warrior-like form of competition, where victory is only achieved through a finish. No scorecards, no decisions, just two fighters going until one emerges as the undeniable winner. While Prochazka acknowledged that some fighters might resist such a drastic change, he stood firm in his belief that fighting should be settled in the cage, not on the judges' scorecards. After all, this is combat at its core, and the true spirit of MMA should be about definitive victories, not controversial verdicts.
Jan Blachowicz, he's one of the, I think, the only guy to go the distance with Pereira other than Bruno Silva, right?
Yeah, because he have the hands up.
I mean, I'll never forget the fight with Ankalaev when he was just going shin to shin with Ankalaev, and Ankalaev could barely walk. Dude,
man, I thought like he won that fight, but...
Very close. Yeah. Very close fight, but you could definitely see giving it to Jan Blachowicz. I think we need more than 3 judges. We need at least 5 judges. I think 3 is too little. I think we need, because there's too many times where 2 judges get it wrong, and the crowd is like, what the fuck? I think if you had 5 judges, then you have 2 judges that would counterbalance that other, and there'd be 3-2 in the right direction, and you would get a good result.
Or fighting to win.
Yes, fighting to win. Well, imagine that if they started doing the UFC like the old UFC, like UFC 1, no rules.
Maybe for somebody it will be a little bit like they will not like it because it will be, maybe sometimes it will be long, maybe.
So what?
Yeah.
That's fighting.
Yeah, that's fighting.
In a recent interview with Kevin Iole, UFC middleweight champion Dricus du Plessis opened up about his hard-fought battle against Sean Strickland and why their first encounter was as close as it was. According to du Plessis, it wasn't because of any shortcomings on his part, but simply because Strickland was an elite champion, one who had already proven his skills by defeating Israel Adesanya, a feat that demands serious respect. However, du Plessis was quick to remind everyone of one crucial difference. While Strickland may have beaten Adesanya, he himself didn't just win, he finished Izzy in dominant fashion. That, in his eyes, made a powerful statement. Despite the war they went through, du Plessis had nothing but respect for Strickland's skill set, particularly his defensive abilities and calculated approach. But make no mistake, he was extremely proud of his own performance, calling it a showcase of everything he brings to the octagon. And now, with the rematch looming, he's confident that fans will see an even sharper, more dangerous version of himself. With extra time to refine his game, sharpen his weapons, and make the necessary adjustments, he believes the fighter stepping into the cage this time will be on a whole different level, even better than the one who took out Adesanya. When asked about the controversial split decision in their first fight, du Plessis admitted he was shocked by the result, firmly believing he had done more than enough to win convincingly. But while he may not have agreed with the judges, he still gave credit where it was due, acknowledging Strickland's toughness and the grit that made him a champion in the first place. That being said, there's no doubt in du Plessis' mind, the rematch will leave no room for debate. This time, he plans on making it crystal clear who the rightful middleweight king is.
No, I think I was fighting the champion of the world then, and that's a very different fight. If you're fighting the best in the world, he beat Adesanya.
Yeah.
I finished Adesanya. He was the champion of the world, and for a very good reason. That's why that fight played out the way it did. I had an amazing performance. Nothing like the performance I'll have. I performed better against Adesanya because the fight was made 7 months later, 8 months later. So I evolved, ever evolving, getting better every fight. And this time I'm going to be even better. This time I'll be better than I was against Adesanya. That night, I did what I had to win that fight. The split decision was actually a shock to me because I don't think it was a split decision. I think it was a clear unanimous decision. But it was an amazing fight. It was a great fight. Strickland is defensively very, very responsible. And that's why it was hard to get him out of there. I know that's because you prioritize his defense. So and I'm not going to fight that fight because it's boring.
Ilia Topuria has just made a game-changing announcement. He's officially moving up to lightweight. In an exclusive Spanish interview with COPE, now translated into English, the UFC featherweight champion confirmed that his next fight will be at 155 pounds, and he's not looking to take his time. Topuria has set his sights on returning in May or June, but if Islam Makhachev is ready, he's willing to step into the octagon as early as April. That's right, the newly crowned featherweight king is looking to jump straight into the Shark Tank of the lightweight division, and things are moving fast. What makes this move even more electrifying is that Topuria has zero interest in defending his featherweight belt. In his mind, he's already conquered the two biggest names in the division, Alexander Volkanovski and Max Holloway. With little left to prove at 145, he's ready for the next chapter of his career. While some might argue there's still unfinished business in the featherweight division, the reality is that Ilia sees no reason to stick around when there are bigger opportunities waiting, and it looks like the UFC is on the same page. Multiple reports suggest that Alexander Volkanovski versus Diego Lopes is being finalized for UFC 314 in Miami for an interim featherweight title. That alone is a huge sign that the UFC is already preparing for life without Topuria at 145. But the real bombshell? Dana White himself has been dropping hints about something special in the works for Islam Makhachev. When asked if it was a super fight, Dana didn't deny it. He just smirked and told the interviewer they were on the right track. And then, just to stir the pot even more, Makhachev's manager posted a cryptic message on Twitter confirming that Islam's next opponent won't be Charles Oliveira. With both Makhachev and Topuria having largely cleaned out their divisions, a champion versus champion clash is starting to feel inevitable. And Topuria, he's already mentally preparing for the transition. In his own words, cutting to 145 has been a brutal process. 5 kilos makes a huge difference. 5 kilos of sushi, steak, pasta, what a relief, he said, laughing about how much easier things will be at lightweight. But behind the humor, there's a serious point. He's been forcing his body to make featherweight since his UFC debut in 2020. That's 4 years of suffering through extreme weight cuts. Now he's ready to fight at his full strength, and he's not looking back. The plan is clear. He wants to fight 3 times in 2025. He's open to making his lightweight debut in either April or May, possibly in Miami or Canada. But make no mistake, if Makhachev is ready in April, Topuria is more than happy to throw down. And while UFC officials are keeping the details under wraps, the hints are getting harder to ignore. Of course, not everyone is convinced that this is the right move. Some fans argue that it's too soon for Ilia to abandon featherweight, especially with undefeated contenders like Movsar Evloev still lurking in the division. But Topuria isn't interested in what-ifs. He's got his eyes set on the biggest prize possible. So the question now is, what's next? Are we about to witness a blockbuster super fight between Topuria and Makhachev? Or should Ilia defend his featherweight title one more time before making the jump? One thing is for sure, the UFC is cooking up something massive, and fight fans better buckle up. Thanks for tuning in. If you're as intrigued by this potential clash as we are, drop your thoughts in the comments below. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more breaking MMA news and updates. Stay tuned, you won't want to miss what's next.